Hey, this is Mr. C, and you've tuned into 10.5. This time we are subtracting integers. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. This is your opportunity to check 10.4 practice. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Now before we get started, I'm going to highly recommend you to use grid paper for today's lesson. It will make making number lines easier, and they'll be straighter, and they'll be easier to label. You might not even have to draw the line. So by the door, there should be grid paper that looks like this, and making your lesson on this will be more helpful. Here's your first example problem. Alright, during this video, I'm going to ask myself, do you remember how to read, specifically when there's negative numbers? How can you subtract integers? Melita is making wind chimes to sell. So far, she has made 2. Her first customer liked them so well that she ordered 6. How many more does Melita need to make? Subtract to find out how many more Melita needs to make. So she had 2, and then the customer ordered 6. So this is minus 6 from her inventory. So first we need to think about walking a number line to help me subtract integers. So as always, we start at 0, and she had 2 made already. And then we see the subtraction sign. It was 2 minus 6. And this is saying to read it as turn around. So I could read this as go forward 2, 1, 2. Turn around and go backwards 6. Turn around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It stops at -4, which means that she still needs to make 4 more. Now I could read negative as turn around, and I also could just read it as backwards. So go forward 2, 1, 2, backwards 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With a clue word of kitchen table. You do not have vocab notes today. And here's example 1. As I said before, when we read math, we read the negative sign as backwards. That will help us understand what is going on, because sometimes this could be confusing, but if we read it like this, it's not. So 5, you could say go 5 or go forward 5 because it's a positive number, and then backwards 13. So let's scroll down and look what a number line would look like on the grid paper that you are doing today's lesson on. So if you have not already, please make a number line that looks like this, and then I'll talk about the problem. Okay, so we're going forward 5. Well, we always start at 0, and we go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and we stop right there. That's plus 5, and then we're going to go backwards 13. Now you can make this as a straight line or bumped based on what makes the most sense to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'm going to stop there. That was minus 13. Maybe doing the bumps can help you count easier, or you can do straight arrows. Minus 13, and I end at minus 8. If you go forward 5, and then you go backwards 13, it would equal the same as going backwards 8. Now let's do number 2. All right, how do I read this problem? I read this backwards 7 and backwards 4. So all we're doing now is going backwards. We go backwards 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we end up here at minus 6, minus 7. And then we go backwards 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we end up right here, which would be minus 10, minus 11. So my answer is backwards 11. If you go backwards 7 and then backwards 4, you get backwards 11. All right, let's look at number 3. I read this forward 3 and then backwards 9. This is the first time I've seen 2 negatives like this, and we're going to try to make sense of this. Well, first we have a number line that looks like this. Once you have a number line like this, you can continue watching the video. So first I'm going to find 0 on my number line, right there. And I'm going to go forward. I see it's positive 3. I'm going to go forward 3. 1, 2, 3. And I stop right there. That's my plus 3. And then I remember that a minus sign means turn around or backwards. So I see this minus sign here. That means that the next number that I see, I'm going to go backwards. But then I see another minus sign, which I know means turn around again, which means I was facing this way. But now I'm going to turn around again and go forward. 9. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so my answer is 12. And if you find it odd that 3 minus negative 9 is 12, if you think that doesn't necessarily make sense, even though I explained it to you, I want you to look at this blue number line right here. So I also could read this, the difference of 3 and negative 9. Difference, I know, is the answer of a subtraction problem. So what's the difference, the separation of 3 and negative 9? So I see 3 is right here, and negative 9 is right here. And so what is the difference or separation between those two numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. And so I hope that seeing that those are actually 12 apart, meaning the difference, makes sense why the answer is 12, and with the negative signs. I want to add that when there's two negative signs, hopefully you see that that is the same as just changing those to addition signs. It's just 3 plus 9. When there's two negative signs in a row, you can just change them to positives. Or you can think of it, as I said, where you turn around twice. You turn around, you look backwards, and then you look backwards again, you turn around, you go forward. Time for number 4. Alright, so we have negative 11 minus negative 6. So in other words, what's the difference between negative 11 and negative 6? Well, first we have our number line here. We start at 0. We go back 11 spaces because the negative sign means backwards. So this is minus 11. And so we're over here hanging out at negative 11. And I see this minus sign, which means backwards. So I know it's telling me that it wants me to continue to go backwards. But I see another subtraction sign, which means turn around or backwards again. And the opposite of backwards is actually turning around and going forward 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to stop right here, and we see our answer is negative 5 equals negative 5. Hopefully you see there was two subtractions in a row, and it's just kind of like you're adding. So this would be backwards 11 plus 6, or go backwards 11 and then go forward 6, and that's, you'd go backwards 5. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's example 2. For example 2, you're going to take n equals negative 5 and substitute it in for n. If you're not quite understanding it, I would strongly encourage you to make a number line. If you're not exactly sure where to start your number line, I just take the first term, minus 5, backwards 5, and I put that in the middle, and then I found the 0, and so likewise with here, I would start with negative 15 in the middle. And I'm going to show you the answer to number 5 in 3, 2, 1. So I see this is backwards 5 and then backwards 6. I know in my head that would be adding them together. Both of them are backwards, so total I would go backwards 11. We'd go to here, and then we go backwards 6 more. For number 6, I would write the problem like that. Backwards 15, and then backwards negative 5. Or I could read this as backwards 15 and the opposite of negative 5. Well, I know that the opposite of negative 5 is actually positive 5. And so that would be backwards 15 and then forwards 5, which would end up being backwards 10. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's your independent or partners practice. Write the original problems shown here, show your work, and then I'm showing you the answers in 3, 2, 1. Thank you for watching this video. Please do the link below for Khan Academy video and practice. There are 2 videos that you can watch, and then you may choose one of these 2 options, which take you even further. Thank you for watching this, and you're awesome.